Well, howdy, kids. Time for Uncle Birch to piss some people off. But I made a long career of pissing off the right people for the right reasons. Uh, and some things should be debated, some things should be discussed, many things should not be assumed. Like, for instance, I am not Wiccan, I'm a witch. It's extremely hard to tear the witchcraft out of Wicca in this day and age. We had 30, 40 years of Wicca being the dominant force. But now there are many forces recognized out there that are not Wiccan, and Wiccan is not the only party. And I always kind of took issue with the Wiccan Reed. There was one time we had to deal with Wicca. I have been Wiccan, but always been a witch. But I do have a religious side that probably leans more towards gods and goddesses, and then I have a spiritual side leaning more towards spirits and ancestors, that kind of thing. I try to encompass many things in my work. And as I've said, recently somebody was trying to give me a hard time on my channel. I don't know who he thought he was dealing with, but told me that I profess to be right-hand path. Now, clearly, young man, I believe it was a young man, you don't pay attention. I've made it absolutely clear on my channel, I use both hands. Right hand, left hand. There's a time to be right-hand path, there's a time to be left-hand path, and better yet, stagger down the middle, swerving in and out of all of them. That's the only way to really be complete. Either one of you is wrong. If you are left-hand path, you're missing something. If you are right-hand path, you're missing something. The right-hand path and the left-hand path philosophies of the craft have merged over time, and a lot of you missed it. The left-hand path originally believed that God, if they believed in God at all, was an internal force that lived inside of us, that was a part of us. Left-hand path believed that God was outside of us. God, goddess, all it is, outside of us. Some lofty thing up on a cloud, yay high. And so the left-hand path believed that serving the self was serving that God, or if they believed in God, but serving the self was the way to go. Right-hand path believed that since God was external, serving others, serving external things, was the path to go. Either one of those is just wrong. Either one of those, you're either going to be a selfish asshole, or you're going to be a broke-ass motherfucker living on the streets with nothing for yourself. Many, 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 many times I heard in old Wicca people say, it's against the rules to do magic for yourself. Why do it then? Do I just want to sit around all day having people bleed all over me and tell me their sob stories and fix them for people? I'm not saying, I don't like my work, but if that was all I did with my craft, I'd be angry and bitter. Broke, and on the streets. So, again, I use both hands. It takes both hands to make this cool little triangle thing that I use so often. So, like the title of the video, the thing that's going to piss people off, vengeance, sometimes healthy. Now, maybe it's because I'm part Italian. Got a healthy sense of vengeance. It is an Italian proverb and not a Klingon proverb that revenge is a dish best served cold. That means a lot, and it doesn't just mean without feeling. It also means to let time pass before getting your vengeance, to where the person you're getting your vengeance on doesn't even remember that they fucked you over. I'm part, and I'm part Irish. I'm really a mutt. I have so many. I think Asian is the only thing not in my DNA. I find my DNA is from so many different countries, and even a bit of African too. But that's a whole other story. So maybe it's my bloodline. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a realist. I don't know. But I always kind of debated with the Wiccans about their whole Wiccan Reed thing, about harming none. And I would, rather than, say the same thing that everybody else says, I would debate specifics in there. And I found that while they were harming none, they didn't think too much about protecting others. That's not very right-hand path, is it? And then The harming of the self seems to be permissible in that philosophy. Um, in other words, harm none, do what you will, kind of means turn the other cheek. And then you have two cheeks that are slapped. And somehow, you think you're a better person because you let somebody slap you twice? Not in my world, man. No, that ain't gonna happen. So, those of you that have been on my channel probably have come to know that Uncle Birch will come out and say things that are not oft said. I spend most of my time saying things that are not oft said. I don't have a whole lot of patience for repeating the status quo, repeating the party line, saying shit that somebody else has already said. So I challenge you to find another video of this kind that says vengeance is sometimes healthy. And here's why. Thinking about that not harming the self thing, there are some times a person just fucks you over. Fucks you over, fucks up your life, maybe endangers you, endangers your family, endangers your loved ones. And you're just supposed to let that go, I guess, if you're wicked. And then there's sometimes somebody will violate you or rob you, take something from you. Now, I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's how I am. Those things stick in my craw. Those things never go away. I was a spooky little kid in high school. I got fucked with all the time. Eventually, I was spooky enough to where most of the kids in my high school were too scared to fuck with me. That backfired later in high school, but that's a whole other story. But I remember everyone that ever picked on me, everyone that ever hit me, everyone that ever fucked me over. I remember all the bullies in my life. They're a part of me right here. And if I think about one of those people, it's nasty. It hurts. It angers me. Anger is not healthy. Holding these things in and stifling them, that's not healthy. You get a tumor doing that kind of shit. There's some people out there also that fucked you over that if allowed to continue their evil ways will fuck others over. So it can be kind of right-hand path to do those kind of people in. But I don't care which path it is. That's unhealthy. For you to just take that shit, feel like that, and maybe you're not like me. Maybe you can let that shit go. I have oft heard said by some people about myself that I hold grudges. I don't really think that's true. That doesn't cover it all. I don't really hold grudges because I get even. I know myself. I've been on this earth a long time, and I know that person just fucked me over, that person just robbed me, that person just violated me. I'm going to feel that for years and years and maybe the rest of my life. It would be far less damage to fuck them over once than to feel that for the rest of my life. Anyways, I always tell this tale. A long, long time ago, in a land far, far away, I was doing security work. I was a bouncer at a heavy metal bar in Downey called Mississippi Moonshine, which was. And we bounced the parking lot, and then they had other bouncers upstairs. And so these muscle boys, steroid boys, got in a fight with a couple off-duty Marines, I guess. They all got bounced downstairs. The Marines went that way. Man, the muscle boys standing there talking shit. And I'm standing next to my sergeant. I'm a little guy. I don't know how. Well, I'll show you in a minute why I was a bouncer, because I'm crafty. So these boys talked all kinds of shit to my sergeant, who was standing right next to security work, right? And talked about his mother, his questionable parentage, his questionable sexual persuasion, on and on and on. I'm just getting pissed. These guys haven't even said it to me. And just that I'm standing here letting these assholes verbally abuse a friend of mine, it's getting to me. I already have my mace. This is before pepper spray, by the way. I already have my mace in my hand, just down on my side. I'm just casually standing there. These guys talk all this shit. and about to walk away. I'm thinking, God, I'm going to hate these two guys forever. That's not healthy. I don't need to hate these. They're stupid fucking drug boys, right? So, right as he's starting to leave, the guy says, and you, pointing to me, you little shit, better get your mama to feed you some steak. Fatten your ass up. And I look at him and go, me? Oh, you haven't even started talking shit to me yet. I'm right here. I ain't going nowhere, motherfucker. Step up. I don't often play the macho boy game, but I know how to play it. I know the rules. I haven't been in a whole lot of fights in my life. I've wrestled a lot of motherfuckers to the ground. I've unarmed a lot of people, disarmed a lot of people. Never, didn't spend a whole lot of time in slugging matches. So at any rate, guy walks up to me, hardest I've ever been hit in my life, punches me with both fists in the chest. My chest folds around his fists, almost collapsed. I took one step back and put the mark of Zorro across his face with my pepper spray. And he goes, hey, what the fuck? What the He's on his knees, crying, sobbing, and his muscle-bound buddy steps up. Hey, what the fuck was that? And I go, oh, this? Gave him the mark of Zorro across the face, too. The sight of these two muscle-bound dickhead motherfuckers, arm in arm, crying as they try to find their car, walking up, oh, I can't believe you did it, fills my heart with joy to this day. I think of just that little piece that would be stuck in my craw for the rest of my life. That, God, I should have hit that fucker. God, I should have fucking knocked his ass out. Maybe you're not that way. I'm that way. It was much healthier to momentarily cause these two boys a huge amount of pain than to suffer the years and years and years of pain that would go long enough. So that's pretty much my rant on that. If you're that kind of person, do you feel that? Can you think about somebody that fucked you over in your life? Do you still feel the pain from that? Maybe you should hex them. You never got any justice for it. We're witches. We don't have to deal with that. We don't have to have mace. We have spiritual mace. We have the mace of the universe. So if you're sitting with one of those things, maybe it's time for that. Yeah, and justice. Justice is cool too. Maybe you need a little justice work. Sometimes I'll shoot for justice too. If I can't get justice, man, I'm gonna get vengeance. I'm gonna get even. I'm gonna get threefold. So that's my threefold law. You fuck with me, I fuck with you 3 times. You hit me, I hit you 3 times. That's the real threefold law. So, if you're that kind of person, maybe you want to biff over to my website. Pick up a few things. Maybe some dark arts oil or Lucky Mojo oil. I carry some Lucky Mojo products on my website. Graveyard dirt. I got great graveyard dirt. We harvest it every Samhain. And now I'm living in a totally different land with really old graveyards. So getting some really cool graveyard dirt this time of year. Some graveyard dirt. Maybe mix the graveyard dirt with some sulfur. Get an image of the person. Bury him in a little box with graveyard dirt. Piss on the grave. That kind of thing. Maybe hot foot powder. Hot foot powder might not kill him. You give him a really hard time. Plenty of spells you can do. Maybe you want to stock up on some black candles. There's lots of things on my website. And probably a lot of descriptions. And definitely, when you get on the Lucky Mojo products, you can go to the internet and search all kinds of stuff on those recipes because they're classical recipes. But a lot of mine are classical recipes too. A lot of the oils I make have been made for hundreds and hundreds of years by practitioners of witchcraft, hoodoo, conjure. Just so you know, I am studying hoodoo. I am taking a hoodoo course, and I am always fascinated by the connections, the similarities, the crossovers. We're like in this melting pot here, and a lot of crafts just kind of mesh together and become one craft. Well, these days we've got a lot more research, we've got a lot more access to research. We can see where a lot of magics came from. And I love that. I love finding a thing and tracing that thing back to its origins. And I think that's a witch thing. We need to follow these patterns, and that's a pattern I love to see. I always love to see a moment when a thing happens, and then a moment later in time how that thing turned out. And I love that with magic. And having said that, I think I've said this in another video. Wicca is not the only party anymore, and it's fading. There's more people identifying themselves as witches than Wiccans these days. There's much a huge separation going on between those, and many witches that don't want to call themselves Wiccans, and many Wiccans that don't even do witchcraft at all. Which I don't even know why you would take on that title if you don't get to do magic. But nowadays, man, there's all kind of shit, all kind of stuff came to the party, and hoodoo's a big one out there. Hoodoo has been on the rise for a while. Hoodoo and conjure, and guess what? No Wiccan read, nothing like that. A healthy sense of ethics, but no rules against doing anything to anyone. So, if you think your little Wiccan read's going to keep you safe, Uncle Birch's here to tell you, now you got another thing coming. So remember that. Get yours. Get your vengeance. Don't get mad. Mad is unhealthy. Get even. Vengeance can be healthy.